All right. Thank you, Zoom lady. All right, guys. So I kind of put together real quick, just well, first of all, I hope everybody's doing okay after the chaos that was Helene. And it's good to see other people's faces. Um, so I thought we would do something similar to last time and kind of like rotate through the questions. And I did change, instead of going in like the same order, I kind of rotated the order so that different people can go first and it's not always the same person every time, if that's okay with everybody. Can everybody see my screen?
I don't see your screen.
No.
Crap. Sorry, you probably shouldn't say crap. Hold on. Best Zoom leader ever. Just kidding. Okay, we're doing that one. We're doing this. How about now?
Mm-mm.
No.
Still can't.
All right. Well, we'll just talk. It'll be okay. My computer's probably being dumb. I'm working on a hotspot, because we still don't have internet. First world problems. All right. So our first question, just to save us some time, was whether did everybody got to read the case study, right? Okay. I don't know what's happening. It'll be all right. Anyway. Um, talking about what did you think of the way James handled his particular situation, considering his limited background? I said that I thought that considering he had no um, background in reading or interventions or anything like that, like I thought he did fairly well, reaching out and getting the staff involved, um, and to get the job accomplished and getting his the reading coach and like all of that, like for a first time principal dealing with an issue that you're not familiar with, um you know because he has a PE background, like not dissing PE people, but I thought obviously there's things that could have been done differently or better, but overall I thought he did all right. What were some of y'all's thoughts? I see Kayla's face. Does Kayla want to go first? Hello?
Whose name did you say?
You?
Okay. I don't know if it's my internet or yours or ever. Uh, it told me my internet's gone. I said that the same kind of thing that you kind of said, that he remained kind of active in the planning process, which I thought was nice. Like having that he's there and he's supporting and he's showing that he's supporting the process. Um, and especially admitting like I don't have those reading strategies, so I need your help. Was pretty big of him to kind of go in front of his staff and say.
Agreed. Sylvia, what did you think?
I agree with what both of you guys said. Being that he had that limited background, I think the fact that he reached out to staff for input, that was huge, and that also helped with like staff buy-in.
Hmm.
So, just kind of delegating, reaching out to the coach and attending the conferences and doing all those things. I think that really showed leadership, especially being his first year.
Absolutely. Bobby?
Yeah, so I actually didn't like the case study because I'm currently a physical education teacher, but
Sorry,
uh,
Bobby.
I guess I could like it a little bit because I taught social studies for 5 years. But but based on the case study, I thought he done a pretty decent job. And one of the most important things I think for me was his transparency. Him just going ahead and letting them know what the biggest problem was, and also giving the staff the opportunity to kind of voice their suggestions and thoughts on how to deal with it. So I think listening and then implementing those things, I think showed that one, he is he is at least a leader that listens and don't just listen but also acts. So I think staffs definitely can buy into that. So yeah, I thought he done a pretty good job in handling that situation.
Couldn't agree more. Considering we're all getting thrown into things, I kind of feel like I can relate to James a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you, Chelsea?
I had kind of the same things that everybody's already mentioned, but thinking like as far as Dr. Sedman was saying, like relating it to the APSL, like communication was a huge thing with him, taking responsibility the performance of the school, even though it wasn't something that he led in the past, he knew it was something he had to invest in for the future. And then the customer focus piece, which I had never thought about necessarily before, as the kids as customers, but they like buying into them to get them to want to move forward in a positive way. But other than that, I said the same things as you guys, so I won't say those back.
I said something similar. So I can't remember who said it now because my brain shot. The getting the teachers to buy in too, like because they're part of that process. I thought that was really important. Um, cool. I'm glad we're all on the same page on that one. What about what else could he have done, or what more could have been done to help the reading scores? Bobby.
All right. So in this one, I don't know if I was in the right ballpark. So I just kind of thought of some things that I kind of, I guess, researched when I was doing the APSL. So some of the things that I said was is that question two? Let me,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
so okay, what more could be done? So one of the things I said was offering professional development for his reading teachers. And the professional development could focus on strategies that the teachers could potentially implement within their lessons, such as like differentiated instruction, trying to find other ways of making sure the students understand. And then finally, I put 30 minutes of independent reading daily could also help the reading scores as well.
Get that. I said something similar because I was thinking back to those are great solutions for some of our kiddos or their kiddos' problems. I said something similar, and then I also said like thinking about our PLC process and finding the root cause because
Mm.
all they kept talking about was like reading techniques and reading coach and reading conference, but it's like okay, but like what specific needs are being met? And like how many grade levels you have kindergartners, you have fifth graders, like what are their needs? So like I thought back to our process and trying to I mean this was a good like initial um assessment for him and like all that, and then like your strategies would be really great, focusing on on like meeting those needs, but like what is the need was my thing. um Kind of tying back into our process that we did. um we're going to shake it up a little bit. Does anybody else have anything to add or anything that you saw differently?
My biggest thing was like maybe considering like if the process is streamlined to begin with, or do you have four different teachers doing four different things? So is one
Mm.
class doing really well and another class struggling? So one thing that we've kind of researched through this process and we've kind of tried at my school in the past would be cross grade level groups or cross classroom groups. So you can target like the kids who need intervention together. Your higher kids can be together, so their needs are being met all at one time versus a teacher trying to have six or seven different groups to meet all the kids' needs instead of they could have three running at one time and be far more proficient in the long run.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one. I thought about a lot of things that some of you already mentioned. I did notice that it didn't seem to focus wasn't on data. So, focus on that to drive the instruction and then formulate PLCs surrounding it. Kind of similar with, finding the root cause, giving assessments, doing like some analyzing like a cross grade level, but I didn't think about the piece that you mentioned, Chelsea. What else? Oh, and interventions, setting up interventions, and then also, like Bobby mentioned, getting the families involved. Maybe holding some type of workshops or initiative or something to help reinforce reading at home.
What about you, Kayla?
Pretty much the same thing. I was like, what intervention strategies are like already being used by certain teachers? Like maybe asking, like Chelsea was saying, like the teachers that do have higher reading scores, like what are they doing in their classrooms? Um, or the level grouping, like Chelsea said, like I've thought about that too. We've done it in math for so long at the school that I've been at. Like we kind of group them based on their test scores to begin with. So maybe doing it in reading for them would work for that as well.
Great suggestions. I mean, I hadn't thought about the grouping of the test scores, and I definitely, out of all the things we did, I forgot about the data.
Me too.
Bless. Okay, we're getting it together. It'll be all right. So that third question says, what additional resources could James utilize to help the school improve if I can learn how to read? Um, and I said something similar, and I feel like question two and question three kind of like go together, in my opinion, because something I said was something Bobby said was getting like parent buy-in. Because I thought about my daughter's school does a literacy night, and like each grade level has like a book that they feature, and like it's really cute. And like it's very literacy focused, but it's like a school event that they invite the parents to. So that's where my brain went with that. um, did anybody else have any other suggestions for that we haven't already mentioned, or something you wanted to share?
I
I
went
thought,
more like implementing extra curriculum. Like we have iReady. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if anybody else does. Like since it's like their pathway, like they're being benchmark tested, they get their own pathway and it's a supplemental material. Um, and I mean, when you learn how to work those programs, they can be beneficial. Like just as an example, like my students had a test today, they wanted extra help on it. Like, so I went into the program. I was like, okay, they have lessons on it. I assigned them those lessons. So that could be something that they would do in the school is like assigning certain lessons, maybe helping with reading comprehension or vocab or something like that.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I said something similar to Kayla because I instead of using already, I said Classworks. Because of course when you use Classworks, it has that screener at the beginning, and then once they take that screener, it kind of identifies exactly what grade level they're on, and then the teacher has access, has the capability of assigning different skills. They can reassign it if the student not proficient on it. And Classworks, it gives you like continuous data on the students' progression, where they falling short at, so it helps you kind of, identify exactly where that student needs the most help.
I kind of had two other things. So thinking about building his like network of people, because sometimes there are better ideas outside of your school that you haven't thought of yet when you start collaborating with people. So if he could get in touch with like people at his district office or people at another school at the same grade levels, they may have ideas that could help him improve. And then maybe even like if his kids are older, making like a student panel to figure out why they're frustrated, which pieces are the most frustrating, and why, what they feel like they're missing. Especially if you have older kids, well, any kids are going to be very honest with you if you start asking them questions. So taking their input and making them feel valued in the situation.
that's a great idea. Yes.
Absolutely.
hmm Um, I said, I think mainly what you guys have already said, like considering some type of technological support that is designed to give that individualized instruction. Um, Maybe even like considering an outside group, consulting group or support or coach coming in. Um, partnering with community partners, or partnering with the local library. And even if funding is an issue, maybe applying for some grants to support whatever professional development or materials might be needed for the initiative.
Those are great. It's like at the high school level, they're just like, here, do the things. We don't get all those fancy tools. Y'all are very blessed. Those are some great ideas. I say blessed in italics. Um, awesome. This is a great conversation. Who let me be leader? This is ridiculous. Um,
You're doing great.
oh, last one. What could he be sacrificing, if anything, by placing any extraordinary emphasis on only reading program? And I think, and I know like previous conversations we've had, and I thought of Kayla when I said this, because it was something she said. I think it was Kayla. I think when they focused, not that reading, okay, I'm gonna like preface this by saying reading is incredibly important. Like it is. And I love that people are focusing on reading. But if you're a South Carolina person and you've done Read to Succeed, it's bogus. And I don't think it helps. And then other skills fall by the wayside, like math, because like how many of us have data, even if it's not like specifically math class, like even basic skills, a lot of basic skills for other classes, kind of get swept under the rug because the focus is on something else. And so then everything else kind of falls into chaos. So that was my thing, was like even like math skills or like basic for me, like lab skills. My kids can't read like I legit had to teach a ninth grader how to read a ruler because I was like, baby girl, how do you not know how to read a ruler? You're 15. But some of them may not have had it because they're, products of COVID and all that. So like that's kind of where I went with it, was like what's being sacrificed, and it's quite literally everything else.
Yeah.
But specifically those skills. I don't know what y'all see, but that's what I saw.
Yeah,
But
my response was exactly the same. You focus too much on the reading, then you neglect the other subjects. And so there has to be some sort of balanced approach because just as you said, like math really, not that reading isn't important, it's all very important, but we focus too much on that one. And then, we're doing a very disservice to math and the other subjects. So, yeah, exactly what you said.
But I think like on the flip side of that, so like in North Carolina, to graduate high school, you have to show proficiency in reading on like the SAT or the ACT or another like college prep test. So they're not looking for necessarily math or science or other things, even though all of those are important. It's all stemming back to that reading to be able to graduate. So I think that's where we get all this pressure on kids to read, even though like some kids, it's like things can be read aloud to them now, like their phone will read it out loud. So I think we forget all of those pieces sometimes, that they're growing up in a world where their handwriting doesn't have to be perfect. They don't necessarily have to know how to read all the things. They're going to have a device that can do all that, but we need them to do practical application things to be able to survive essentially. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely two sides to the coin there.
And I wonder how much of it is reading. I thought about this too. How much of it is reading like technique and like understanding sounds and all that, like to actually read the words versus like comprehension.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My kids can read words like champs. They just don't have a clue what it means.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess I took slightly, because I feel like we all saying the same thing, but instead of me saying students, I put sacrificing. He'd be sacrificing teachers, feeling like they're underappreciated, because teaching social studies. My first year teaching was the last year that we had the state test, and while it didn't count towards their final grade, there's the last year that they had. Because I teach in North Carolina too. That was the last year they had the test, and
They got rid of it.
they got
Yeah.
for middle school. Yeah, for middle school
Sweet
they got rid of
Jesus.
yeah.
All right, that's a story for another time.
Yeah, so
We're gonna back burner that.
so when I came in, I was a lateral entry teacher. So I would always ask for assistance with lesson planning. Making sure I was teaching teaching what my students need to know. And I was always told, oh, you ain't a tested subject, just make it work. And again, I felt underappreciated. So on the flip side, when you have those meetings, I don't feel like I should have to go because it's not about me. It's about, those classes that you put in all your focus on. So I feel with his approach, you may be sacrificing teachers feel, like I said, they underappreciated, and it's lowering the school morale where it don't feel like it's a team. It feel like you just got your little certain groups.
Mm-hmm.
I think the flip side to that too, like Bobby was saying, like you'll have the teachers that are feeling like they're kind of left out, but then you also feel like the teachers who are under a microscope.
Yeah.
Like then you have like the opposite of end of it. Like, I mean, I'm going through it right now with math. Like the focus is now all of a sudden on what we're doing. And I'm like, okay, like, like what do we do? So I think like you were saying, like that's a good point, is you're gonna have the teachers that feel left out, but then you're gonna also have the ones that are feeling kind of under the microscope and micromanaged and overwhelmed. And it's kind of having that balance for everybody. And it's going to be hard to get that balance, but it's something that's going to have to be worked on.
Mm.
But like Casey was saying, that Reach to Succeed has been for many years now.
That's we can speak. I still got 10 minutes. So. Yeah, there's so many things like I wish we could pick and like I wish there was a tool like that we could fix, but you have to jump through so many hoops to fix them. And I wonder if he feels the same. I mean, like I know this is probably hypothetical, but like I wonder if this person felt the same way. Like I'm trying to fix this problem, and while I'm putting out this fire, 12 more have started over here.
All right.
And like that's gotta be tough. And then like going in with the discipline problems, or I'm assuming there's discipline problems since they said the kids don't respond to the other teachers. Like, and then you were talking about teachers, like it made me think of all the times when I was a first year teacher where all the old teachers were like, well, I've always done it this way and it works. And I'm like, but that doesn't work for me. And it's not working with my kids. Like there's not a one thing fixes everything. Like it's so how can we back up and adjust, because that obviously that's not working. So I don't know.
Well, that and it was picked for him was another thing I thought about. Like he didn't even get to pick his most pressing thing. Like they were like reading, you know nothing about it, but have fun fixing it. Yep. And so like if you know that behavior is his strong suit, like working with kids, like that would have been a positive way for him to start with his staff, like sharing strategies, what worked. But he's coming in kind of at a disadvantage because he doesn't know anything, so he's having to lean on other people, which as a leader I think could make him kind of self-conscious because he doesn't know what he's saying, so he's just leading a staff kind of flying blind, which would be nerve-wracking.
I think it does come into play that vulnerability that was mentioned. Like he's laying it out there and then like, I need help. Right. And I think that goes a long way with the staff. Because I have a principal that does that now and it's glorious.
Transparency is great.
Yeah. And
I think being transparent versus like I need help, but I need you to do this, this, and this. Right. Like I understand you need help and I'm willing to help you, but giving me half of what you need done is not
helping you. It's doing it.
Yeah. I think that was really key to the staff buy-in, that he showed that vulnerability and helped, in the success of the program with him turning around the reading. It's very interesting perspectives and things that I definitely didn't think about.
Same.
And I think Chelsea took one of my she said something that I thought about, and it took me back to question 3 about the additional resources. I was thinking about what if he had classroom management workshops? And then when I thought about it, my next question was, if you haven't kind of established how you're going to operate your class within the first 10 days,
Right.
will a workshop really will a workshop really be beneficial for you at that point? Because I always believe if you don't establish your ground rules and let your students know what your expectations are, within the first 10 days,
Mm-hmm.
over the rest of the year, you're going to struggle because
Mm-hmm.
the kids already seen what you had to offer, and it's hard to change. Which is why one thing I always tell teachers, if they ask me, is the first month or so, I'm probably as mean as the meanest person because the kids know I don't tolerate much. And then after that first month, when I know they have bought into how I run my class, I can start easing off a little bit and show a little bit of flexibility because again, that classroom management. Now that is, and I know we talk about data a lot, but I just believe classroom management, if it's not quality classroom management, it's going to be hard for many students to learn in that environment.
Yeah, I agree. That's what Harry Wong teaches us in the first days of school in that
Mm-hmm.
classic. That's a classic.
It
But
is class.
that really is a good point. If you don't have the classroom management, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
They're not retaining anything. Nothing, no learning is happening.
Mhm.
So, yeah, very good point.
That would be a great summer professional development.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Unless
I've
you're
seen
That would
teachers.
teaching
be a great any time of year professional development. Like
in that too.
how do you manage behaviors in your classroom
Mm-hmm.
I
instead
got to
of giving
do
all the behaviors to the teachers that can't handle them?
Yes. Yes.
I got to do a workshop on that with the new teachers, and I told them, I said, you use every tool you have in your tool belt. My greatest asset is my face because
Mm-hmm.
the kids are scared to talk in my classroom for probably about 3 weeks. And that like I don't even have to go into I go into the rules, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
they are terrified to even speak. And it is like I never ever would have thought of that. They don't teach you that in college. Like
They don't.
Yeah. Mm.
but
No,
that was
they
fun.
don't.
That was This has been a great conversation, y'all.
It really
Very
has.
enlightening.
It has
Yes.
very interesting
Very enlightening.
perspectives.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do we have any more like questions, comments, concerns before we stop recording?
Hey, I will say this, not to be corny, but I will say after having these 2 Zoom sessions with y'all, man, I really have enjoyed the conversations because I'm really like I ain't gonna say antisocial, but I typically like sticking to myself. But this has really been like eye opening for me, just hearing y'all perspectives on. Yeah, and I would not have any problems at all like working at the school with y'all. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really have enjoyed this.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll second
thank you.
that.
Same.
Right. I think we have a good range of grade levels, so it's nice to
Yeah.
hear like how it works at the middle and the high school when you work with the little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, little kids are
I'm saying
terrifying.
Flavia is not going to
That's interesting you say that because I'm
anywhere
terrified
near
of the
those
high
little
school.
kids.
The high school
If
kids scare me.
if we are good, we can stop recording. That was awesome.